Zeus.
Oh no! Okay, can I tell you that? And we're live, but before we jump into this, and this is a great segue into our second episode of Talking Mando.
I don't know where that's coming from.
Where's the background coming from? What solidified my love for Star Wars was Blue Harvest. I mean I love Star Wars, I absolutely do, but like Blue Harvest, Seth MacFarlane's take on the whole trilogy, the whole original trilogy concept was awesome. But anyways, that is not why we are here. We are here to talk Mando. Today we are going to be reviewing the second episode of The Mandalorian, Disney Plus's newest and only Star Wars live streaming app. Live streaming television show. If you are watching, then you see these awesome pictures of, Star Wars type content, and some of these are just pictures from Mandalorian episode 2. Some of them are just memes that I found that I thought were hilarious, and some of them are related. Hello, Phasma. They're related to Star Wars. I'm still holding out that Yoda and Yaddle got together and this is their offspring. But we'll talk about that in a minute. With me, as always, are the gentlemen. And I use that term very correctly. The gentlemen from the Escape Pod cast, the Nev, Neil Andrew Eyre, and Paul Anthony. Welcome, Paul. Welcome, Neil.
Hello, matey. Hello, Governor.
Hello, Thaddeus. I'm glad that I'm on top this time and I'm not the bottom square.
I know. Why have I been relegated to the bottom?
I'm sorry. I don't know. Sometimes you got to switch. It's just polite, I guess.
Couldn't stop laughing at some of them memes. The memes.
Oh,
so funny.
The memes that have come out around this have been hilarious. I've only got a couple of them that I've seen, but old Yoda, baby Yoda, and young Yoda, hilarious.
The OK Boomer.
OK Boomer.
The OK Boomer one. That was the one that I couldn't stop laughing at because it's just so funny.
Yeah. It was awesome. I freaking love that. And let's face it, Baby Yoda. Oh, first off, if you are coming into this live stream with absolutely no knowledge of The Mandalorian episode 1 or 2, you should leave now. There will be spoilers. Yeah, like if you haven't,
you're gonna spoil this shit out.
Yeah, if you haven't guessed already, there are spoilers abounding. First and foremost, I've got to say, as much as I love Baby Yoda, Yoda's obviously not the name of the species, but that's what we're going with until they give us a name of his species, the child. Essentially, this child is both of my kids. Like, he doesn't stay in his little carriage, right? He's always trying to do stuff and help when his help is not wanted. He's adorable AF. This is every little kid that I know. I mean, do you guys back me up on that one?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's Puss in Boots from Shrek all over again.
Seriously,
when it's Puss in Boots from Shrek, when he does that big eye, it's just so cute. And the thing is, we don't even know if it's a he or a she.
We don't. We have no idea.
It's just. It's so cute. So let's use the correct pronoun, shall we?
It because we don't know.
Because we don't know.
Yeah.
There we go. The anarchist is using the gender specific pronouns.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It.
All right.
Z.
The beginning of the show opens up pretty much right where episode 1 left off, right? Chapter 1, sorry, not episode 1, but chapter 1 left off. And it shows the gunslinger. Again, he's someone whose name we don't know yet either. Just either Mandalorian or they call him the gunslinger. and
I'm
Yoda.
calling him Mandy, like Mandy Patinkin.
But Andy Patinkin.
Mandy Patinkin. He's a Broadway guy.
All right, we can call him Mandy. So Mandy and Baby Yoda are walking through. They're going back to a ship, right? And they are attacked by the Trandoshans. Thoughts?
Are they transitions, or I'm not entirely.
I wasn't convinced that they were Trandos.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think they were Trandos.
I thought for sure they were Trandoshans. Like, I've got a couple images of them right here, but this is the picture that we see in the earliest trailers, right? So far, yeah. I mean, aside from Yoda in the little capsule, right, or Baby Yoda in the little capsule, really, we haven't seen a lot of additional stuff. Like, I feel like they're playing this really close to the chest by not leaking in, like, images before the episode launches.
They're playing the long game,
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff that we've seen so far is stuff that we've seen from the episodes with a few minor changes. Your thoughts?
Yeah, we haven't seen Gina yet.
No.
We haven't seen, and IG-11 is supposedly gone. You know, he was not dragging IG-11 back to the ship. So, was it one episode for IG-11?
Yeah, I hope not. I absolutely hope not. I'm hoping that he transfers his essence to another IG bot, and then, you know.
Well, come on. Okay, can we? Right. Okay. Yes, there is only one C-3PO, but there were there were protocol droids throughout the galaxy. So we're going to come across some more IG-11 assassin droids that are probably part of the Bounty Hunter Guild. True. And they're probably going to have, a similar voice to this first IG-11 that we've met. And maybe they're a little bit pissed at Mando for shooting their droid buddy in the head,
yeah,
and just leaving him.
Well, and that is a good point. Like, we know that droids don't have. Well, we assume droids don't have feelings here, but let's look at the comics and see what happened to Greedo when Greedo was assassinated when he was shot by Han. His Greedo buddies, I forget the name of them now, but they went after Han to get revenge. It is very likely that the other the IG-88s or IG units are going to come after the Mando. I can see that.
Yeah, I can. It's an easy side story. It's an easy one-off episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he made an agreement with that IG-11 unit, and he welched on the deal.
He did.
He welched on the deal. They were supposed to split the bounty. I mean, all right, fair enough. They didn't agree whether they were going to take the mark alive or dead. But he didn't have to. He didn't have to put a hole in IG-11's head. He did it because clearly he has a lot of ill prejudice feelings towards droids. I mean, he's a droidist.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's a droidist.
Yes.
He hates droids.
Yeah, he absolutely is, and that's something.
He didn't do it because he hates droids, in my opinion. He did it because the IG unit was about to shoot the child. So he wanted the bigger bounty of getting the he didn't want it killed. So he wanted the larger investment. Mm-hmm. And IG was going to cost them half the bounty. So
all right, and I'm going to take this from. I'm hoping that there's more backstory, and I believe that there's going to be more backstory here. But I think that he saw something in the child that he doesn't want to. He's just not going to kill a kid, And I'm going to go with Neil.
He's 50 years old. They're calling it a child, but it's not a child.
It's not. No, it's not a child. It's 50 years old.
Not by human standards, right? But by this species standards, it is still the child.
Well, no. Excuse me. We don't get to choose how old that alien life form is. We don't get to assume that it's a child. It's not a child. It's an adult. It's a 50-year-old alien adult. It's small.
But again,
this is the Star Wars. This is the beauty of the Star Wars universe, isn't it? Think about it.
You can argue what ageist.
We can argue the semantics of this.
Yes, we really could.
But let's just stick with it.
So
kid.
The green thing, adult, child, whatever. The pointy-eared elf. I hope that wasn't spacist, but it probably was. And if it is, whatever. The elf, the green thing. I gotta.
Yodel.
Everyone is trying to kill him. Everyone but the Mando is trying to kill him. And again, whether Trandoshan or not, they were trying to kill that creature was trying to kill him.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with IG-11. The only ones we don't know why they were keeping them was actually the group that they took him from. Right? Why did they have him in the first place? Or why did they have the creature in the first place? We don't know. I mean,
it is a bit of a continuity, faux pas when you think about it, really. That all of this effort to keep it alive, and then now all of this effort to destroy it. It does seem a bit, counterintuitive to what it was at the beginning, but then that wouldn't make for a really good story, would it?
Well, because
we've got the story now, haven't we?
Here's the thing. If you look at Werner Herzog's The Client's apparel, he's clearly from the Empire, right? But then if you go over and you see Gus from Breaking Bad, he's clearly from the Empire, right? Both of these are Imperial characters. And so what I'm wondering is if the Mando walk into a civil war, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because there was a lot of infighting between the remnants the remnants of the Empire for donkey's years after Return of the Jedi in the extended universe.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it would make sense to incorporate some of that infighting. You've got warlords and moffs and admirals, and they're all fighting for effectively some kind of residual power left over after the Emperor's demise. Or did he demise? But I totally, I can totally see that theory. I can totally see that theory, Thaddeus, with the different different old Empire factions infighting to try and get some kind of leg over each other, and the Werner Herzog character wanting it dead, but his Empire remnant scientist wanting it alive is until he gets that kid to Werner Herzog, we're not going to know really, and this was a kind of like a build-up episode to that, really.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop you guys there for a second. If you look at the scientist patch,
yes,
it was part of the cloning. What was it? Cloning
the Kaminoans, the guild or whatever.
Yes, thank you.
I got you.
So the same people that made Boba Fett, the same people that made all the clone troopers. So it's that same community that wants him, and Werner Herzog is just playing. I think he's part of Camino. I truly think instead of us talking about the fact that it's remnants of the Empire, well, the stormtroopers just had to find new work.
Yeah,
that's all they're doing. And So it's more the cloning community of Camino that I think is going to be who is after this. Now, let's rewind while you guys were yelling at each other. Allow me to yell with the fact that these why don't the people who Mandy took Yodel from, he's playing the gray area. Mm-hmm. They maybe were rebels that he was fighting in this case. So they were trying to protect him. Now he sees, he's like every single fan that saw Yodel for the first time and said, "Oh, that's adorable. I want to take care of it." And the Jawas, which I'm sure we're about to get to here, the Jawas wanted to trade for him. I don't think to kill Yodel. I think they, found an adorable pet.
Oh, no. It's Jawas definitely were going for this from the slave labor aspect. Imagine how much easier their life would be if they had a little infant that they could raise for hundreds of years to do their bidding, right? Especially someone powerful with the Force. I feel like that is, they'd get all the wins. I mean, he's about the same size as a Jawa, or would be eventually. So he'd be able to fit in the cloak, minus the ears, obviously.
They'll just cut him out. It'll poke out.
Yeah. Or, they'll do like a Doberman and cut the tail off. But that, with ears, I feel like that's a little, But again, they do that with Dobermans, like it or not. I think the Jawas were in it for... They saw value, right? And whether it was to trade up or trade later, I don't know. Part of me also thinks when they said the egg, part of me thought the hibernation case that little Yodel is floating in. I thought that's what they were talking about when they said the egg,
I agree. I thought they were talking about the hibernation egg as well. Now, I have a good friend, Darthy McVictus, who I met on your server then. Mm-hmm. That he loves the Jawas. He has speaking. Sorry, I'm bringing Star Wars Galaxy Heroes into this, but he has relict Jawas.
Hey, so and good for him.
I told him. When I told him that he's gonna love this episode, he's like, "Why am I gonna love the episode?" And I said, "Just watch. Just wait."
Yeah.
And he messaged me. Is like, I guess it was 6 minutes into this episode. He's like, "I am audibly screaming."
Yeah. I gotta say, like, the whole scene or montage with it wasn't a montage, but the whole series with the Jawas was hilarious. Like every moment of it was funny. But it was still action packed. Like the humor didn't take away from like the intensity of the episode,
Yeah, it was a serious humor.
Yeah. And it was done really well. I loved it.
Yeah, we got to see some Jawas get disintegrated.
That was awesome.
Well, that was so just zap and then it's just a cloak. Mm-hmm. A squeal and then it's a cloak.
Yeah.
So squeals and cloaks, and then obviously there was the chase, and obviously that thing moves a lot faster than we think. Then we got the homage to Indiana Jones scene, where they try running him into a rock.
Yep.
And at the last minute, he just ducks out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, in Indiana Jones, that he's inadvertently saved by his dad, making the tank turn away. But it was still a nice homage to Indiana Jones.
So,
but I thought the Jawa scene was great. Great filler, because what it meant was his time on the planet had to be extended. So he rocks up at his ship. The Jawas are stripping it to pieces, and then as he runs after them, it's like dude, my ship. So then he runs after them. Then he ends up flat on his back. All the meanwhile, Mini Yaddle is following him, in his little cot, all wide-eyed and looking cute, and then they end up he fights his way at the top, and they're all just stood up there waiting for him. Because as soon as he got to the top, I'm thinking to myself, they're all going to be waiting at the top, and they're going to zap him as soon as he gets there. And that was it. It was just like, yep, there it's zapped, fall off backwards, and then we get the the long walking scenes and stuff like that. So and that's kind of what you need in the episode when you're trying to get Mando to kind of become invested in his mark, because the sooner if he just got to a ship, got off and dropped him off, there would have been no emotional investment in what he sees as a child, even though they're a 50-year-old alien. So the whole ship being stripped, the chase with the Jawas, and then the whole egg thing with the Jawas. I must admit, I thought the hole in the ground I thought it was a Rancor lair.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was a Rancor egg that he was going for. But all of that combined, and then obviously we see, the wavy hand stuff. So all of that spread out as kind of it's allowing the story to create a relationship between the Mando and this 50-year-old alien.
Yeah.
Which is what the episode was pretty much all about.
Yeah.
So we started on this planet once he landed, being attacked by Burgle, right? Where were the Burgle attacking these Jawas?
No, because they're afraid of the Jawas.
Why are they afraid of the Jawas?
No, because Nev said it earlier, right? It's the comparison that he made to the tank scene, right? The Jawas running the Mando into the boulders. The Nazis ran the Indiana Jones into a boulder. By transition of powers, we can tell that the Jawas are essentially Nazis, and it's very possible.
I love the analogy. It's
very likely that they've taken some kind of, was it Burgle? I forget the name of those little monsters. The cow creatures that Kuil rides. I think it's very possible that's why they're afraid. Jawa Nazis, right? I mean,
Jawa Nazis,
hashtag Jawa Nazis. Get it trending. Don't. Yeah, probably don't get it trending. That's probably not I don't necessarily know if I want that coming back to me.
That's not a good hashtag to get trending now. But you do strike up on something very important there, and that is that even though the Mando is the best bounty hunter in the sector, he's only the best bounty hunter in the sector because he goes for easy marks. And he gets the pucks, and he does everything by the book, and that's why he's the best. As soon as he goes off book, we see just how vulnerable a person he is. I mean, he walks up at the planet and he gets attacked by two things on the two legs. And now he's got rifles, and he's got his flames. He's got all of the tools a Mandalorian has, but he still has trouble getting that egg. On each occasion, he's needed help. So he's not this all-powerful, super being that can do everything, at the snap of his fingers. He's showing vulnerability. He's having a hero's journey.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, he is having a hero's journey because he is the protagonist. He's not an anti-hero. He's not a hero. We don't know what he is at the moment. But for all intents and purposes, he's having a hero's journey because he's going through all of these hardships. And he's having to overcome a lot of adversity just in the first two episodes.
Yeah. And that actually brings up a really good point. One of the things that we talked about last time, and I noticed this in one of the final scenes in the commercials. You have this moment where the Mando is meeting a woman, and it looks like she's taking his helmet off. And if you look at that episode, or if you look at that shot right there, he is in full armor. He's in full, what's the metal? Beskar armor. And so I feel like whoever that is he's finally returning home. The Oh, the hammer lady that was clearly a member of Death Watch, or what's it, Maul's assassin squad, Crimson Dawn. Thank you. She asks him.
Look, Neil. I know canon.
Yeah, there you go. Or at least the new canon that Neil doesn't care for.
Sorry. You started talking about like stuff I don't care about.
No, I know. But the idea here is that like she asks him, "Do you have your sigil? Do you have like all of these things?" And no, he doesn't. And so maybe he's out now trying to become the Mandalorian, right? And by that is he's not there yet, right? Maybe that's why he's called there. He's called Gunslinger in these first couple episodes because he hasn't earned the right to be called a Mandalorian. Yes, he is by birth Mandalorian.
Okay, I'm looking at the picture now, and yeah, I am seeing full Beskar armor.
But he does have he has the it was established in episode 1 that he has the reputation of being the best bounty hunter in the parsec. So he's not on a journey being the best bounty hunter. He's on a journey. It's a hero. He's on a journey becoming a hero, not becoming the best bounty hunter.
True.
He's already the best bounty hunter in the parsec.
True. But
so his journey is something completely different to his journey to becoming a bounty
hunter. True, and I think you're right that in the parsec, but there is stuff that he still needs to learn. Like you said, he does still have to go through that hero's journey. He does have to go through the different events to earn the armor. Both metaphorical and actual, right? The Beskar. So I'm curious what happens next. So
well, I mean, that's that. I think we briefly touched on it during the last one, or during the review of episode 1. Is we're kind of hoping for more jobs from the Werner Herzog client, and every time he does a job, he gets a chunk of Beskar.
Yeah,
and then so so every time he does a job, he's getting a new piece of armor.
Yeah.
Well, that was just a sample. So in the first episode, he got just a sample of the Beskar, and apparently, if he turns in Yodel,
he'll get like a whole crate. It sounds like.
He'll get a whole crate of it. So,
I mean, he is going to turn him in. I mean, I think it's obvious he's going to turn him in. I mean, he might have pangs of guilt, but he's still going to do it. As far as I'm concerned, he'll still do it in episode 3 or 4 or however many episodes it takes for him to hand him over.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe it'll be 7, and we'll have that happen right before Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, that would be weird. I have spoken. So we've got. I will say, if you look at the trailer or the title of, they don't have a title for Chapter 3 yet, or at least not on IMDb, but they do have a description of what will take place in Episode 3, and that is that he is going to return to the client. And so I'm curious to know what's going to take place. Will the client continue to give him work? And if he does, what will the work be like? Is he going to send them up against maybe a rival Imperial faction? I mean, sooner or later, we're going to get the other faction in, or the other Imperial cadets, or whatever, not cadets, other Imperial crew in, and that's going to be something that needs to happen sooner rather than later, in my mind.
Well, I'd like to know what form of government is in charge, because we're 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So in the extended universe, it's the New Republic. And I want to know if because obviously he said the Empire's dead, so clearly the Empire is not the government in power. They are not, there is no longer an authoritarian, political and militaristic elite running the galaxy. There are remnants of the Empire spread throughout the galaxy, but I'd really, really like to. Who's running the show? Who's on Coruscant? Who's running who's running the show on Coruscant? You've got the inner core. I mean, because obviously we're just talking about stuff that's going on in the outer rim. Mm-hmm. The core worlds, the inner core, those important worlds where all of the trade and the economics and all of that stuff goes on. It'd be interesting to know what's going on there, because obviously that whatever goes on in the middle, whatever goes on in those power circles, mm-hmm. is going to trickle out to the outer rim, and it's going to affect whatever it is he's doing, because as a bounty hunter, he's scraping by on a living at the moment. Mm-hmm. So I'd be curious to know, what this other type of work is going to be pushed his direction from the Vern Herzog client character.
Mm-hmm. Now, I actually, if you jump into the current canon, I feel like it's similar to the old canon, and that there was a period of unrest between the fall of the Empire and the rise of the New Republic. I don't know how long it was in the old canon. In the new canon, the Empire is still very much in power in certain sectors of the galaxy, and you have like Imperial remnants operating as if nothing has changed, and which again makes it interesting. That actually continues all the way up through and I'm not going to spoil anything for Paul, who's reading Resistance Reborn. I'm not sure how far he is in the book yet.
Not that far.
Okay. But there are Imperial factions that still operate. Same thing with, if you look at bloodlines from, I believe it was Claudia Gray's bloodlines in the new story, there's still, while the New Republic is in full swing, operating off Hosnian Prime, they've got a government and they're bringing in people to the New Republic. There are still factions of the Empire running different sectors of the galaxy, and that continues on for some time.
We did see that in Battlefield 2.
Exactly.
So that's not a surprise that there's still some Imperial sectors. But
and my point with this is that we do see Carl Weathers' character try to pay in Imperial credits, right? So it's very possible that the area that they're in is still run by the Empire.
True. And then he gives him calamari sushi or whatever it was.
It did look tasty. So
you think about it, it's a big galaxy. There's going to be a lot of different competing currencies in that galaxy. There always was.
Yeah.
Even in the extended universe, there were always competing currencies.
True.
Okay, so there is. We're getting back into canon talk instead of Mandalorian talk. We're supposed to be talking Mando. Now, with us talking Mando, you mentioned that the giant hole in the sand was a Rancor to you.
Yeah, I thought it was a Rancor pit. Yeah,
I thought that it would have been more something like a sand wampa. Maybe another species of wampa, which I would have totally geeked out for.
Well, see, I thought I was expecting to see that creature from the trailer, right? I was, and so I'm curious to know. I don't know. There's a lot more about that scene that I'd love. No, never mind. I'm actually good with it. I loved the mud monster. Paul, you had a name for it. What did it say?
Yeah, I'm hard of hearing.
Okay.
And so I watched things with captions, and the captioning called it a mudhorn.
Mudhorn. All right.
So it's called a mudhorn. I thought it looked like a reek.
It did. That's what I was thinking of. Very much like a reek, right?
And the two things that I mentioned in my little notes here, apparently Mandalorians also hate sand.
Yeah.
Because when it's mixed with water, it gets all over their outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, who likes sand? Let's face it. Anakin was right. Sand sucks. It gets everywhere. It's coarse. Like, we give Anakin a really hard time for that, but he is dead on right. Sand is the worst. Like, when you go to the beach, no matter how many times you vacuum or sweep out your car, there's going to be sand in your car for months, and it's infuriating. It's terrible. And a whole world of sand would just suck. But,
yeah, but we're used to it, aren't we?
That's true.
We're used to the desert planet, you know, those desert planets. You know, Star Wars fans have an affinity with these desert planets. You know, it's kind of you know, it's content we know. You know, it's you know, it's geographical locations that we're comfortable with. You know, it's not changing things up. It's not making it like a jungle or you know, they're not jumping to a Hoth type system just yet. Even though it'll probably happen, you know, fighting in the sand and, you know, having long walks and plus, you know, it makes for great cinematography.
That's true.
Because the scenes, you know, the walking scenes, because there's a lot of walking. There's a lot. Mando does a lot of walking.
Yeah, he does.
Some really, really, really good. There's some really good long shots of him walking, you know, with a floating egg next to him.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're trying to, you know, they're really, really trying to nail down the cinematography so that they can get the oohs and the ahs and then throw us into the nitty gritty close contact scenes like the fighting with the Jawas and the fighting with the Mudhorn or whatever it was called. You know, and then we go back to it being, you know, walking again, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's all well and good for the desert planets, but you know, who is it? It's Happy that's directing this, right?
Yes, Happy.
Producing. You know,
producing and wrote.
Yeah, producing. And here's the problem in my it's the director's fault in this case. Anytime that there's sun, there is more lens flare than a J.J. Abrams movie in this show, and it's it was so distracting that look, there's the sun, lens flare. There's Yodel doing something, lens flare.
Okay,
so that kind of got distracting. You know, put your After Effects away. We don't always need lens flare
or star wipe.
Yeah, or star. Yeah, the star wipe.
All right, so I got something here that you gentlemen will recognize probably. I gotta turn my headphones upside down to put it on. I'm throwing it on, guys. My tinfoil hat. Okay.
Oh yes, here we go. Conspiracy theory time.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? You guys talked. Paul, I think you brought it up and said that we could be looking at the Mandalorian or the Gunslinger taking Baby Yaddle from an enclave of rebels, right? Now
he could have been fighting the good guys.
He could have been fighting the good guys. Now he doesn't know, nor does he care, because he's paid to do a job. We care as an audience because, you know, some of us hope that the rebels win, and they did, but, you know, at what cost? Whatever. So here's the thing. If you look at Gina's character, right, Cara Dune, on her cheek, she has the rebel insignia tattooed, like, in, I think, the upper right-hand corner, okay? So this is my speculation. Information of Yodels or Yaddles, you know, whatever, kidnapping gets passed on to another rebel cell by surviving members of those who, you know, who survived, which is redundant. But anyways, they survive. Who does it get passed on to? It gets passed on to another rebel cell, which is Gina or Cara Dune's, right?
I'm looking this up right now as we're we're talking here.
So Cara Dune goes in, guns a-blazing, and rescues Baby Yaddle, and quite possibly the what's his face? the patch guy, the scientist, right? Because I feel like he needs more backstory, right? He's going to be one of those guys that spills his guts. Don't kill me, I just work here, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But Werner Herzog, the client, he is going to be murdered in a very malicious way in the next episode by Cara Dune. I'm calling it. That's why the hat had to come on.
All right, so yeah, I'm seeing that. That's that. I did not know this of Cara Dune's character. She does have the mark.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, the toy.
Oh, got to get my toys.
Yeah, toy.
Ow,
yeah.
crap.
I just also looked at the toy.
I knew that there was a reason why I bought this. Right, it wasn't just a.
Also, I did look at the toy as well, and yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I don't know if it's hard to see. Yeah, I got it. No, that is. She's like giving my camera a kiss. Very awkward, but that is hello, hello.
Yeah, on the subject of rebel cells and rebel characters, that's why I think the character voiced by Nick Nolte, I think he's either an ex-rebel or an ex-bounty hunter, which is why he's helping the Mando.
Well, he's an Ugnaught.
That's what they do. They help.
Yeah.
Well, they're not very nice or helpful on the Cloud. They weren't very nice or helpful on Cloud City. In fact, they were a bunch of arseholes on Cloud City.
Well, yeah, that's Cloud City. They were stoned all the time. Where do you think that cloud comes from?
Oh, jeez.
It's all drugs, man.
But yeah, I definitely think he's ex-rebel, and you mentioned it in your notes, Paul. An awesome montage, you know. Let's repair the ship in 30 minutes montage. Just so beautiful.
It really was really cool. That it's I'm sure it took days, but it seemed like it took like one night, right?
Well, it apparently was. It could have taken an entire night. Now, that being said, this was the second montage that we've gotten in an episode. So, are we going to have another montage in number 3?
Of course.
Oh God, yeah. No, they need to put a montage in every episode.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be totally honest with you. It reminds me of A-Team montages from the 80s. And I loved that show, and I loved those montages. But that's what it reminded. That scene totally reminded me of an A-Team 80s montage, because you know Hannibal comes up with a plan, and they all start building stuff, and you know they take bed springs and they make guns, and you know they cut pieces of metal and make tanks, and basically you know they rocked up his shell of a ship with a bunch of what could only be described as junk, and after the montage was over, his ship was 100% fully functioning, no issues whatsoever. It was, you know, that's the way a science fiction montage should be. It's like, here's a load of junk, we put it together, everything works. That's what a Star Wars science fiction montage should be.
Oh, even Rocky had a montage.
Yeah.
Yes. The training montages in Rocky were awesome, but not as good as A-Team. Let's make something, you know, kill the bad guys out of complete and utter junk. Those were the best montages.
I 100% agree. This has got me thinking that like this is what NASA does. They don't ever have like a plan. Someone just like, hey, NASA, do something, and they're like, all right. This one guy at the head, he's like, this is what we're gonna do. Go to the local junkyard, get me 6 cans of, you know, propane tanks, and let's get to Mars. I really think that that's how they probably run.
You've been away too long from Texas.
I have.
Bad.
I have. I don't. All right. So, montage aside, was anyone absolutely disappointed that the Ugnaught doesn't join him?
Well, that's why I think I'm not disappointed. I think he's it's kind of like, I'm going to help you from a distance, but then I'm going to go do my own thing, because he's kind of already done he's done his time as either a rebel or a bounty hunter, you know, and he's trying to enjoy his retirement. I mean, come on, you know, you got to retire sometime, haven't you?
All right, so but then here by even saying the word retirement, you've got me thinking, if he does join the Mandalorian, and he dies sometime at the end of the game, he could say something like I was 2 days away from retirement, or I should have stayed and it would be perfect.
No, his last words.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, I have spoken.
His last words have to be spoken.
Yeah,
You go, avenge my death.
I have spoken.
I have spoken.
Oh, those will be my last words, no matter where I am. If I ever think I'm gonna die, I'm just gonna be like, I have spoken. And then, like, the medics will be trying to resuscitate me. I'm like, no, stop it! I've spoken! But...
No, I always imagined my demise being like Bill Murray from Zombieland. Where it's like...
I don't regret anything.
You just start again and then everyone starts laughing. I'm going out like Bill Murray goes out in Zombieland.
Let's hope you don't have any regrets like Garfield.
So I don't think I just genuinely think, you know, it's one of those characters that isn't going to have like an extended period because, you know, he's done it. You know, he's an old guy. That's why they got Nick Nolte to do the voice, and he's there. He's helping, and he's just generally being, you know, a really, really nice retiree, helping the guy out. And bounty hunter, you know, away he goes and leaves the old guy to you know, to enjoy his retirement. And you know, like he said, you know, you've returned peace to my valley.
Yeah,
you know. So let's leave it at that. You know, it's good. It's good for the old guy. It's good for the valley. Something nice has happened. Something positive has come from their interaction, and you know, let's just leave it at that and move on. You know, we've got, like, fingers crossed, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seasons of this crap to go. So, you know, we can't be having every single bit part actor or actress that does a voice for an alien, you know, remaining permanently at his side.
Yeah.
You know, this is that the way things have to move forward is every couple of episodes, every 1 or 2 or 3 episodes, you know, they'll bring somebody new in that plays their part, and then, you know, Mando moves on, and so on and so forth.
So, you know, I'm very glad for Ugnolte. Ugnolte was a great supporting character. Now, will we see him again down the line? Maybe he has to return to that planet. Who knows?
Yeah.
But if that's all we get of Ugnolte, I'll take it. But something I do want to talk about is I want to go back to Yodel for a second.
Okay.
Apparently, Yodel eats frogs whole.
That was adorable.
That was adorable, yes.
And also, Yodel can force heal, even though Mando didn't want him to. And Yodel was able to use the Force to stop the mud reek.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, but he had to take a nap afterward.
I mean,
what's up with Yoda species and having to take a nap after doing something great?
Look, I'm 6 foot, 250 pounds. When I exert myself for 5 minutes, I have to take a nap. Like, I'm exhausted. Yodel.
That's because of how old we are.
Well, no, that's true. But Yodel's older than I am. He's got a decade of life on me, and yeah. And Sir Boss points out that the naps afterwards were a clue that he's 50. He's getting old. But, like, think about that. If I were to lift something like 100 times my weight, I would definitely sleep for 2 or 3 days afterwards, because that's a lot of exertion.
Oh, well, in force terms? Yeah, that's a lot of exertion. But if we're taking into consideration that the being is 50, we don't know how long their training has been going on for. We don't know what the maturity of 50 years old of that species is, because we don't know an awful lot about that species. So there's a lot of question marks over what this character can and cannot do. Dave and John have given themselves a lot of wiggle room with this character. And I love that. I love that they've given themselves a serious amount of wiggle room. That they could have started it off at, 10 years old. I mean, how small would this creature have been at 10? But it's like, no, we know that Yoda was, 900 years old, and he was, already fully developed, and he was, an OP Jedi, Grand Master. How long has this tiny little, 50-year-old green alien been training as a Jedi?
Yeah,
because it ain't just natural. There has to be some form of training here. There has to be something here. We do not want to be going down the same goddamn route as the movies did with episodes 7 and 8, where people who are force sensitive can just do it. Okay, let's have a return back to to what was and obviously we're going to find this out later on throughout the series, but this is where the wiggle room is that John and Dave have given themselves. What type of training, how were they created, where are the parents, hopefully all of this backstory kicks in with the Cara Dune character. Being part of an ex-rebel cell. Maybe some information is going to come down the pipeline, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the nature of this creature and where it comes from, and a little bit more backstory, because it's kind of like going to be the season-long backstory with lots of extra kind of side stories going in, thrown into the mix with this force-sensitive 50-year-old green alien being, the backbone of season 1.
Yeah, I can see that, and Helen X brings up a good point, or. Oh, never mind. I totally spaced it. I was reading the comments, and now it's all over the place. Helenix is talking about chicken fingers, and that has nothing to do with the topic at hand.
Do you like fish sticks?
Who doesn't like fish sticks? I love fish sticks.
Are you a gay fish?
Hey, I don't want Kanye coming after me for this channel. That's the last thing that I need in my life.
Well, he was here in Houston today for a
revival meeting of some sort.
Well, he was at Joel Osteen's.
Oh my gosh, that would have actually been awesome. I would have loved to have seen that. Anyways,
tune it. Go look up channel 11.
All right,
you'll see plenty.
So I'm
gonna let you finish. But Pilot had the best judgment of all time.
Oh, sacrilege. Anyways. Oh, I totally spaced it. Let's see. So Nev, I 100% agree with you. If it were anyone else, I love the idea of the wiggle room that they've introduced. He definitely needs to have some kind of training, some kind of experience, and I do hope that Cara Dune is the person that gives us at least a little more backstory. But since they've talked about how this is the Old West, the spaghetti westerns, the Last Samurai style episodes, what makes me wonder is, as you guys have pointed out, like it doesn't make sense for the Mandalorian, who's worked alone as far as we've seen him, to start pairing up with a team. But I wonder if we will start seeing characters introduced that will then kind of interweave throughout the storylines later on, right? Is the Mandalorian going to be a character that operates solo, and once this storyline of Yoda is finished, or Yaddle, or whatever we're calling her, or it is finished, will we not see it again for some time? Will we not see these characters again for some time? The one thing...
I mean, it's a possibility,
yeah. The one thing, if he is going through his own hero's journey, he is going to need a mentor of some sort. And my feeling was with the Ugnaught, that's what we were getting, that mentor.
Yeah.
But if it's not him, who is it? Right? Who could it be?
It's got to be another Mandalorian.
I think it would have to be. It would have to be.
It has to be another Mandalorian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll finally bring Boba Fett back.
Yeah.
Oh, Sir Boss is laughing that autocorrect corrected Mandalorian to Mandy. It's okay. That's what I'm calling him.
Yeah. Right. We're calling him Mando and Mandy. Yeah.
But yeah, because we don't have a name for him, and that's one of the interesting things. Again, I keep seeing, like I've said, I've got these random images showing up on the screen. Who is this woman who's taking off his helmet? Right. Again, he's in full gear. This is clearly Beskar armor. It's got that shiny, polished look to it.
It's Dream.
Who?
It's going to be an adopted mother.
Could it be a mother or could it be a wife?
It's going to be an adopted mother, I think.
Or it could be an entire dream about it. So he might not have all the Beskar armor.
That's true.
To be honest with you, he may not turn in Yodel.
Yeah.
So it could be a dream that it's something that he wants in life. There's my tinfoil hat here. I don't have.
You know what I need to do for this guy is to write the word Beskar right there on top, and maybe I'll get more accurate with my predictions.
I need to make a tinfoil hat.
Yeah. It helps. I promise. It keeps.
I'm gonna make a tinfoil hat for next weekend.
All right.
So that when it comes time for my conspiracy theories, I can put one on.
Yeah. But
it has to be cooler than yours.
It has to be, because right now mine's just a chef's hat, a tinfoil chef's hat. I gotta say, I'm loving it. I really enjoyed the first episode, but I only enjoyed it as a whole and not as its individual parts, if that makes sense. Like there were things that I really liked about the flow of the episode. But what I loved was that moment when the Yodel was introduced, right? For me, that sealed everything together. And I think part of it was it just went so fast and I wanted more of it, right? Mm-hmm. This, even though it was a lot shorter, I mean, it was 20 almost minutes shorter, and it was so encapsulated. Like everything was perfect. Now, the same thing with episode 1. Like, there was no fluff in episode 1, in my mind. There was no fluff in this episode. It did exactly what it needed to do to get the Mandalorian off the planet. That's the only reason that I'm okay with it being substantially shorter than episode 1. I don't know where I was going with that, but I did like episode 2 a lot more than episode 1. I thought it was cool, but the characterization for the Mandalorian, I just thought was so much better in episode 2.
I found episode 1 more action packed and selling to me the Mandalorian. Number 2 for me was story advancing, but it because of episode 1, I enjoyed episode 2, and I'm looking forward to 3. I'm not absolutely gaga over episode 2. The 2 parts that stood out to me were Yodel getting out of the little crib and trying to heal him, and Yodel eating the frog. And I guess the third part would be all the Jawas shocking the Mandalorian at the end of once he got to the top of the sandcrawler. But those are the 3 points that stand out to me.
Okay.
And because of episode 1, I am looking forward to episode 3. But 2, I'm not complaining. Now, mind you, I am not complaining about The Mandalorian at all. It's just that it wasn't as action-packed and felt entirely enthralling.
Well, no, that's because it's all about getting to know him. So getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to it's all about getting to know the character, and one of the points that you brought up was the frog eating, that that's it's a comedy break, and it's difficult to kind of put those breaks in there when for a large chunk of the show it's just the Mandalorian and a tiny green 50-year-old alien.
Yeah.
And they've got to make the the interaction, they've got to introduce these interactions. So at one point he is trying to stop him from being killed by three Trando looking dudes, and then he's trying to get him back to the ship, and then they're out and about, and he's sewing himself up, and little let me help you, let me help you, without speaking or anything. So that you've got all of these. We are learning about the Mando through the eyes of a 50-year-old alien child, because this 50-year-old alien doesn't know anything about the Mando.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, he's this, he's for all intents and purposes his protector, and he's realized that because of the three aliens that were trying to kill him, and he stopped them from killing him.
Yeah. And
then obviously he gets back to the ship, and he runs after the Jawas. He follows, doesn't he? This little 50. So I think the episode was all about learning about the Mando, not so much through our eyes as the viewer, but also through the eyes of his I don't know what you would call a ward.
Yeah, ward works.
I mean, yes, ward would be the best work, because he looks at this 50-year-old alien as a child, even though they're 50. So it's one of those getting to know you type episodes, but they've thrown some comedic breaks in there, and they've thrown some action in there, because there has to be. It can't just be all getting to know you throughout the entire 30-minute episode. I mean, I'm right there with you in the sense that I wish the episode was longer, but doesn't that prove that it's good? They left us wanting more.
Yeah.
It gets to the end. It gets to the end of the episode, and we want more straight away.
But I think I wanted more because of episode 1. I deeply invested myself, because I watched episode 1 4 or 5 times because it was that fun.
Yeah.
Episode 2, I watched it twice. I watched it once for reaction, twice for verification. I have not touched the second episode since.
You guys have me beat. I watched it once, but like I've gone back and I've looked at pictures. I've kind of gathered my thought. I've skimmed the second episode a little bit. I just haven't had time between its launch and now to do it. And I'll watch it again. But I've been other stuff. I've been doing other stuff, and mainly that is Fallen Order. But which
stop it.
I may or may not be doing that later.
Oh no, I will be doing that later. I know for sure. I won't spoil it for you, Nev, but I will tell you that I suck at wall running, and therefore I'm not very far into the game. Like I'm terrible. So a friend of mine did beat it, and he's just like texting me. He's like, "You've got to finish this game tonight." And I'm like, "That's not going to happen." I just can't. So, but yeah,
how many planets have you completed, or stuff have you completed? I've done the first challenge, went to the get story in the second, and then I'm back to the first place for a second challenge. I don't know if that.
Yeah, I know. I follow you, and hopefully this isn't spoiling Nev. I'm sure it's pissing him off because he can't play it yet, but
just a little bit,
just a tiny bit.
I'm just at the beginning of the second challenge.
I just left the second planet.
Okay.
So, Yeah. I will say that so far, and again, not spoilery, but so far everything that I've seen in the game was shown in trailers. So I haven't seen much that's new. I mean, except the greater world that those trailers introduced.
Right.
And so I'm curious to know if they're holding things close to their chest for this game and for The Mandalorian, if they're going to be doing the same thing with some of their other stuff. I fully believe they're doing that with Episode 9, but, like, what else? I don't know. I just think that the future of Star Wars is bright, and The Mandalorian really... Or the way that they're introducing The Mandalorian really makes me believe that. So
yeah, and Galaxy's Edge, the attraction at the Disney parks, takes place simultaneous, from what I understand, with Rise of Skywalker.
It does.
So, it truly does set up more expanded universe. So,
and
anyway,
I fully.
We have.
Go ahead, Paul.
We have got. Well, I was just going to say we are getting close to filling our hour. We're past our.
We are past our hour. I'm sure that my wife and children are waiting patiently, or maybe even impatiently, for me to go upstairs and put them to bed. So with that, and we have kind of talked quite a bit about what our thoughts are. Let's finalize. I'll recap what I think is going to happen in this next week's episode, and let's all give a quick what we think is going to happen. Okay. Now,
and then how many dark sabers out of 5 do we give this episode?
All right, so I'll start off with dark sabers out of 5. I'm going to say 4.5 dark sabers out of 5, or maybe 4 fully firm dark sabers with maybe one that's only half out of the sheath. No innuendos there. But 4.5, right? Solid. It's good. I loved the storyline. Loved moving it forward. Episode 3, Chapter 3, whatever they're calling it, it's not out yet. We're going to see, and I'm holding this, even though I did maybe read more on IMDb about who is involved in Chapter 3. I am holding this.
Don't spoil
I won't.
me.
No, I won't. I won't be that guy. So, Chapter 3, he gets back to whatever that initial planet was. He meets the client once again. He turns in Yoda, or Yaddle, whatever we're calling it, and then Yodel, and he gets more stuff. Thank you. He gets more stuff, right? He maybe gets in the shoulder piece, or he did look pretty banged up from the chest piece, so maybe he's going to replace that next. He gets more stuff. Then he meets Cara Dune, and they involve in a fight, and somehow she talks him into betraying the client to get Yaddle back. That's where I'm thinking.
All right, my speculation. First off, I give episode 2, and this is just overall compared. I know I'm gonna probably get some hate messages for this, but I'm gonna say 3.5. 3.5 dark sabers out of 5 for this one. It didn't grip me like the 5 dark saber episode 1 did. With that being said, as I said, I am still excited for this. So don't consider one that's less for me to that I'm naysaying anything. It's still above average. Now, speculation, turns in Yaddle, yes. Gets refixes all the broken Under Armour, Mandalorian Under Armour. All right. And then after that, I think his next bounty will be Cara Dune.
Oh.
He will go after and once again be swayed by his bounty.
All right.
To change. So, all right, Nev, you're up.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5. But that's, that's good for me. It takes a lot for something to get a 5 out of 5 from me. I'm going to go with 4 out of 5. I was very, very happy with the episode. I was happy with its pace. I was happy with the story. I was happy with the way the overall arc continued from beginning to end, and the way I see it progressing into episode 3 is he returns to the Client. The little 50-year-old alien is handed over, and he gets a bunch of metal to make some more armor, gets his reward, and that's the incentive. It's like, hey, look, we're paying you handsomely for doing this job. How would you like to do some more? And I think that they're going to give him a large job that requires him to get a crew of bounty hunters. I think the Cara Dune is ex-rebel turned bounty hunter, so I think that it's going to be, this planet where she is, and this woman that holds him by the head. I think it's like some kind of outpost, and that he's going to try and maybe enlist some help in order to do the next big job, because it's not something that he could do on his own, because we saw from the first Mark that he was unable to do it on his own. He needed the help of IG-11, and I just think that he's being prepared for the next one, knowing and thinking, well, you know what, I was unable to do the first gig on my own the first time, and it just so happened that there was an IG-11 droid there that I worked with, and I was able to get my mark. So I'm not going to take any chances with the next one. I'm going to go tap on the shoulder of my friend Cara Dune, and enlist the help of somebody else that I can trust to do a job with me that is kind of off the books, and the story will progress, and we'll learn more about the Mandalorian, because we're learning more about him, his backstory, i.e. past friends, old acquaintances, and stuff like that. And that's the direction I see episode 3 going, because the way that they've been doing the format of this season is each episode you learn a little bit more about him. And I think, episode 3 is going to be learning about past acquaintances, past acquaintances, past partnerships, maybe, a little bit like that. Somebody he can trust to go and do a job with it. I don't think we're going to see the job. I think it's going to be more about getting to know more of his backstory in episode 3, and that's the way I see it going.
All right.
But I will have my tinfoil hat ready for episode 3.
Awesome. I will definitely remake mine into Beskar. That being said, on average, 4.5, 3.5, and then 4. That gives us a solid 4 rating from the three of us, and I think we could all probably feel pretty okay with that. It was a fun episode. We're definitely wanting more, and looking forward to next week. I look forward to next week to talking to you guys again to see what your thoughts are and to see who's closest.
And it's the same time. We're gonna shoot to do this at 8 p.m. Texas time, 9 p.m. 9 p.m. every Sunday. Talking Mando on the Escape Pod Castaways Network.
That's right.
Courtesy of the Going Nerdy channel, which thank you for joining and helping me create this network there.
Hey, it is.
I just want to publicly say that on your channel.
Hey, it is awesome. It's been a great. So for those of you who don't know, the Escape Pod Castaways is a content creator network with myself, with Paul, with Anev. It's essentially a group of like-minded, not always like-opinioned, but like-minded people that want to do good and want to see the good in the community that they are a part of. And there's a lot of negativity out there, and we just, there's also a lot of good things there's a lot of good to also see out there, and so that's where our focus is going to be. Tune in next week.
And let me do this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me do this one. He is a former Yavonite. He is united without limits through and through. I want to congratulate Jeffa Fett for the birth of his daughter. I'm excited I spent some time, with Jeffa in Yavin, and we're very proud of you. Congratulations from the castaways to you, Jeffa.
Indeed. Daughters are one of the greatest things in the world, in my opinion. Now, granted, I'm a little biased. I have two really wonderful ones. So, that being said, guys, join us next week. This time, same Bat channel, same Mando channel, same Mando channel, same Mando hour. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, Paul from
Daddy, I'm so sorry.
Hold on.
And speaking of the daughter, and this has been Paul and Neil from the Escape Pod cast.
Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week. Peace out.
And remember to smile.
And stay nerdy. Oh.